connecting. My name is Roger from Customer Success. One of our main responsibilities for the customer success team here in the San Francisco office is to serve as an advocate from your company with Odoo. One of the main responsibilities that we also have is trying to unblock so many issues that you have to drive up users' adoption in your company so you can use a tool that is efficient for you to manage your day-to-day operation. Odoo is a one-stop shop for a business solution, and it integrates all together to offer a seamless business workflow for you. Its application integrate together to add additional functionality for you. Today, we're going to talk about and dive into the Appraisal app, and we can see how this will help you to manage your appraisals more efficiently. It will also implement with the survey application to add additional functionality. So you might ask yourself a question, why use Appraisal app? Or even why appraise? Human capital is one of the most expensive and valued assets of your company. Therefore, a timely appraisal and also a very consistent appraisal is important for your company to be on track to attain your mission and vision of your company. Performance appraisal is a two-way communication for your company to give and receive feedback, not only for your company to give information for your employees how to do better, to help your company, but at the same time, it is a career development for your employees. How can the Appraisal app help you? So it serves as a data storage to serve as a data benchmark for your next appraisal. It will also help you to set action plans for your employees to be focused, and also they can achieve these prior to the next appraisal. Last but not least, it also helps to automatically schedule some appraisal on the next times that are coming up. This will help your manager to focus on some tasks that are more time sensitive. Appraisal plans are some features that we have. Basically, they set a minimum time when a candidate is hired for their appraisal and a maximum time for a calendar month, maybe, in order for you to schedule the next appraisal. This will help you to be consistent and also timely. You don't have to remember when you need to schedule it because the system will do it for you based on your appraisal plans that you set up. 27% of the employee believe that they would do a better job if they receive feedback more often. An appraisal is really emotionally charged activity. Therefore, what's the best way to provide unbiased feedback to your team and to your peers? 360-degree feedback is one of the answers right here. Basically, this is a survey that is sent to specific people in your company, so you can ask for a review for different people to review that person that you're appraising. This will lead into a more consistent and more unbiased feedback. It could be a survey that is sent to your employees, to same team members in your team, or to a subordinates, and even a self-evaluation for your employee. Goals is a feature that allows you to set an action plans for your team member in order for them to achieve them prior to the next appraisal, so you can have a benchmark to compare the evolution next time. And this will also allow the manager to be able to recognize them for every single achievement that they attain. 68% of the employees believe that they will work harder if they receive a better recognition at their work that they're contributing to the company. So now let's jump into the demo. So right now you see the main dashboard of Odoo, which is really simplistic and also intuitive. Right now we're gonna jump and dive into the appraisal application. You will see the main dashboard right here. So here's the main dashboard of Odoo. You will see every single appraisal that you have scheduled, and also the appraisal that has already been finished. We have on the right side different views that we can see. And right now I'd like to jump into the settings. So if we go to settings, we'll see different features that we can activate. Right now you see the appraisal plans, so let's jump into that. So right now, as I mentioned, appraisal plans allows you to set a minimum and also a maximum times to be up for the appraisal. So right now I have candidates that I hire. So I want 6 months after I hire or after they arrive to our company, then 6 months I need to conduct an appraisal. 6 months after the last appraisal, I would like to conduct another feedback. So I'd like to leave it as is, but you can always change it if you want. You can change it to 12 months if you think that it is very often. But right now I'm just gonna leave it as is because I think that's great. Going back to settings, so on the right side you will see the 360-degree feedback. So right here, this will integrate with the survey application. So basically, when I enable this feature, the survey application is going to be installed right here. So I can always maximize what is defaulted, or do we always give you something that is defaulted that might work for you? You can always modify it, or you can always use your own. So right here, we see the title and a series of questions that we might want to put on our survey. Also the type of questions, but we will come back to this, okay? So right here, I will see the description of what this application or this survey actually does, or what was the purpose of this survey. Next to it, we will see options. On the options, we can see different things that we can configure the surveys. For example, the layout right here, we can select if we want to display all the questions in one single page, or we want to display one question per page. Also, we have the scoring system. Right now, since it's a feedback, I don't want to grade anything, or I don't want to score anything, so I'm just gonna leave it no scoring. Also, the access mode, if it's by invitation only, or if everyone with a link can access. Since this is more confidential, then I'll just leave it with people with invitation only. And how many attempts this person can respond to this survey. So now let's go back to the questions. So right now I can add a specific question, so let's do that. So I would like to put hired date to know their date of being hired, and the type of question is a date. So right here, another option that comes up and allows me to put is basically a validation. Do I want to set a minimum and maximum date that they can select? Yes or no. At the same time, a description of what this question is about. So we can type it up here. And an option right here, we have different constraint, conditional. For example, a constraint, we can make this mandatory. And a conditional basically is this question will appear based on the response of a previous question. So right now that we have seen the survey and how it works and how it integrates to the 360-degree feedback, I'm just going to discard and use whatever is defaulted right here. Right here, I would like to talk about the feedback template. So this is a series of template that you can put a questionnaire for your employee to answer some questions in regards to their skills, if the company is recognizing all the values that they have, and so on. Same with the manager. This is going to be a questionnaire for the manager to review an employee. Once we have these, every time when we submit an appraisal, they will be able to fill out this template. Right now, if I want to make it more customizable for a specific job position, I can always jump into the job configuration. Right here, I can always create from scratch, but let's just select one that is already created. Here is it gives you a description of the job description, and right here on the appraisal tab. See that this is a system administrator job position, therefore, on the employee feedback template, I have included the word system administrator for this demo in order to demonstrate. But basically here I can put any specific question related to this role. Same with the manager feedback template. So right now I can save it and we can go back to settings. So those are the main settings that we have. So now let's jump into one of the features that is goal. So goals allows you to set an action plans for the employee. So they can achieve them, they can have a focus, and they can concentrate on some tasks that we assign to them. Right now we're going to create one. For example, I want to upgrade our system. And this I'm going to assign it to Jordan, who is the system administrator of our company. And I am the challenger. Upgrade system. And I can put a deadline. Basically, if I want to set a goal and I want him to complete this by next appraisal, so I can set it a 1 year from now or 6 months from now. So I'm going to select today's date and I'm going to push it for next year, let's say, for simplicity. Save. So right now, whenever Jordan logs into his system, he can see this goal and he can always manage the progression of this part of this achievement or goal. All right. So right now, let's try to do an appraisal. So I can always create an appraisal. The person that I want to appraise is Jordan Smith. Once I select it, this will be populated based on the configuration that you have for employee. For example, I am the manager for Jordan, therefore I'm selected automatically in there. It's auto-populated. His job position will come up. As you can see, I added to the feedback system administrator, so therefore it reflects a change and the specific customization that I want for this specific role. I can always change the deadline, and so on. So I can confirm. Once it confirms, usually an email is sent out to the manager and also to the employee in order to appraise, to start the appraisal process, right? So right now, since I'm logged in as a manager, I can see that the box for me to input some of my feedback is already enabled right here, and the other one is blurred out, okay? It's grayed out. So right now, I can always input the information that I believe that I can give a feedback on how to improve, on how to do better. So right now, for simplicity, I'm just gonna put done. I can always publish it. So one is published, that means I'm already done giving my feedback, so I need the employee to do the same thing. So we will do that in a little bit, okay? So I'll save me as the manager, I'm done giving my feedback. I can always launch the 360-degree feedback. So as feedback, a wizard is gonna come up. I can always select the survey that I want to select, and then who do I want to invite for this survey or request for us to complete this survey. I can select the people that I want to, or it could be even a self-evaluation, okay? So I'll send these over. Right now, feedback are asked to Roger Q, which is myself. If I put more people in there, then they will appear over here as well, okay? So now let's jump right into to try to impersonate Jordan. So right now, since I invited him to have an appraisal, so once I click on the button, it will take me directly to the system. So right now, as you can see in the top right corner, I'm impersonating Jordan. So let's assume that I'm Jordan, right? So right now I can see that the manager feedback has been published right here. So I can do the same as Jordan. So I can answer all the questions right here. So I'm gonna put that is done for simplicity. So I can save, and I can publish as well. So let's toggle these, and it's published. Once both are published, then you will see this button that says here that can move this appraisal from confirmed to done. Right now, let's switch back to being the manager again. So right now, as you can see on the top right corner, I'm the manager. So right now, since we have both inputs, we can discuss, we can have a meeting. So I can always grade. There are some assessment notes that I can always put. For example, needs improvement, meets expectation, strongly exceed expectation, and so on. So right now, based on our debate and based on our discussion and appraisal, I believe that he strongly exceeds expectation. Right now, I'm gonna put a grade on assessment note. I can always log things on the chatter as well, discussion, and I can always see the goals of the employee that they have. So let me save. Let's jump right into the employee goals. Right now, I can see all the goals that is assigned to Jordan. I can always filter with the ones that are late. For example, this one is in the previous date, 23 days ago. So if it's late, that means the deadline has already been passed. And I can see that the progression is 100%, so that means it's completed. I can always see this ribbon as well. So everything seems good. All the tasks and all the action plans that I have assigned to this employee has been completed. So let's go back to Jordan. Since everything seems okay and everything is done, I can always mark this done. So once this is finished, this will move to the stage that is done. So pretty much that will show you how the appraisal is so simple, and you can manage all your appraisal in this application. You can also add the functionality of survey in order to add more functionality and have a more comprehensive and unbiased view. So right now, let's just go to the feedback survey. Right now, no one has completed. So let's see if I go to edit the survey. I want to show you how it looks, okay? So we can go on test mode. So this is the way that basically the survey will look like. So it's going to be like a website, and they can always fill this form with information that we requested on the survey when we configure. Okay, so that's pretty much for me today. So thank you so much for your time. So let me conclude a little bit. So appraisal matters for people because that's going to help them for their career development. But it also helps the company to be more productive and efficient. So sometimes we overlook this task to be something insignificant, but actually it's really helpful for a company, but also for employees to be motivated and to know what to focus on the next time. So this will help a company to grow and to achieve its mission and vision. Thank you so much.
Roger, it was great to see more about how to handle appraisals.
Thank you, Richard.
Appreciate it. So now we have some questions from the group.
Okay,
Specifically,
thanks.
the first one is from Katia Rivera. She's asking about when it's published, is it possible or visible for everyone in the organization?
No, appraisals records are usually confidential, so only people with access right are able to access these records in your company. For example, managers and the people that you want to set access right for the system, right? So no one like other employees will be able to access these records.
Excellent, helpful. Okay, perfect. SM Rathod asks, apologize for if I misspell or mispronounce your name. Is any possibility to create goals by employee or have an integration direct with appraisals to contracts with payroll specifically?
Okay, there's no integration directly with payroll, but then goals is a feature on the appraisal app. So therefore, you can create goals specifically for every single employee, and you can keep track of the progression of these goals. You can always log things on the shatter if you decide to log more information. So you can review them per appraisal term, either 6 month or 12 month that you decide to put together each appraisal.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Can you, Katya asks another question. Can you use appraisal for evaluations between employees?
To compare, I guess the question is to compare each employee.
I believe so.
Okay, that's good. So usually for every system that you use, for example, every sales application that you use, you might have some key performance indicator, which are KPI, and then you might be able to retrieve all these data and metrics that you have on your company, right? For every single department. And you're able to put this into the appraisal application either on the feedback section or either on the shatter section, and then you're able to retrieve and compare each employee. You won't be able to discuss it maybe during the meeting with your employee, but you're able to say what is the average KPI that you are observing in that specific team for your company.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think, so if we were to extrapolate that and take it to, can an employee use the appraisal app to review or appraise another employee? Are you aware if that's possible?
To review another employee?
Yes.
Yeah, we can use a appraisal application to review any employee that we have in the company. It could be someone, a user in the system. It could be a salesperson, either someone that comes and is a chef probably and cook. So that applies for everyone in the company. So that's possible.
Okay, so it's both top down, bottom up, and
bottom up. Correct.
Excellent.
Yes,
cool.
Across the board.
Excellent. Okay, so next question from SM Rathod. Employee officer can direct, check, or change the appraisal question or other things in the appraisal app. So can they modify the questions in the appraisal?
The feedback section is editable, so they can answer anything, but usually the questions that are on there usually set by the system administrator. Therefore, those are things already set up. So they can modify, but then at the end, when you get together with your manager, those questions will be addressed on in an interview or maybe like a meeting session. So,
okay, that makes a lot of sense. Cool, fantastic. Thank you for that. Next up is Deepak Harish asks, is KPI feature available in Odoo?
Yes, KPI are usually measured usually in each individual app. For example, if you're using the sales application, you will see metrics and reports that you can them. For example, how many invoice each salesperson has invoiced each month, per month, or per quarter, or even a year. So every single application has their own metrics and reporting. So you can always retrieve those information before, and then you can combine those into one report before you have this appraisal meeting with your employee.
Okay, yeah, cool. That makes more sense now. Next, are there any reports similar to like a payroll that give you an idea about how many employee appraisals are completed or currently in status progress?
That's a good question. So on the main dashboard, you'll be able to see and filter. You can always sort it in the list view and then filter which one are the ones that are completed versus the one that are scheduled in the future date.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So crystal clear then. Well, the next question is, what are some ways to measure an employee evolution?
There are different aspects in an appraisal. There are quantitative and also qualitative key performance indicators, which are known as also KPI. Therefore, you can use goals in order to measure every single task that you want to assign to an employee to keep track of all the processes and tasks that you have assigned to this employee. Those are more qualitative achievements. But if you want to use metrics and use KPIs for more quantitative things, then you can pull out those information from any applications that you are using, for example, the sales application. Also for projects, for example, how many hours each consultant already logged per project, you can pull out those metrics and also log them in on the feedback section or also on the chatter. And you can always pull out previous appraisal and see the evolution of every single employee. Basically, Odoo serve as a data storage for data. For example, you can always retrieve a previous appraisal and compare them versus the current appraisal that is going on right now.
Okay, fantastic. So information is everywhere.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's see. Next up, can we assign marks to evaluations? So finally, we can evaluate a total out of 100 or a percentage. That's from M. Renaz. Can we assign marks to evaluations? So finally, we can evaluate a total out of 100 or percentage. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit further on that question, Renaz. In the meantime, we move on to the next one. We have a couple more minutes here. Do we have a rating system where employees can give ratings, let's say from 1 to 5 with feedback against each goal?
Okay, can you repeat that question one more time?
Absolutely. Do we have a rating system in Odoo where employees can give ratings, let's say from 1 to 5, similar to like our sad face, smiley face, and neutral face, for feedback for each goal? So if each goal I have like goal to implement X amount of projects, etc. Is there a way to rate those in 1 to 5?
Okay, so I'm not too sure what's the use case of the rating that you want to implement. Basically, if you want to implement the use case of having a rating to see how important this goal that is set versus the other goal that you have to see which one has priority over the other one, right? So you can always log things on the chatter. So the chatter is a really, really useful tool in Odoo because you're able to add additional extra information in there. You can always attach files, you can always tag someone else. So everything that is not native from Odoo, you can always log it on the chatter as well. So per se, built in, there's no rating system, but there's a progression system percentage in there.
Okay, that makes sense. Perfect. Excellent. So let's see, got a couple minutes here. Can we change manager on appraisal if an employee manager is out of office for some time?
If we can change an appraisal date?
So for instance, on the appraisal, you have a manager assigned to the appraisal. And so let's say that manager is out of office for whatever reason, maybe it was vacation or any other reason. Is it possible to change the manager on that appraisal just for that one time out of office?
We can change it. That's okay. But ideally, we want the manager to appraise the employee because that will be a fair comparison and appraisal, because another manager, another team leader appraising someone else when they don't have direct contact or direct work with that subordinate or that team member, then that becomes a little bit difficult in order to appraise and to see exactly the achievements and things and the full potential that an employee can give to the company.
Okay, cool. That's clear. Let's see. How do we provide constructive feedback that will not demotivate employees?
That's a really good question. We have different employees across organizations and corporations. So every person is different how they receive feedback, right? So having a 360-degree feedback survey is important because we are able to receive basically feedback from every single peer, not only from the manager, from one person. To make this less biased, we are able to send a survey to different people. It might be team members, it might be a team leader, or it might even be the director of the company or the CTO or something, so or someone else, so they can have a more broad input into this employee feedback.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool, thank you. I do recognize that there are probably some questions that we couldn't get to. We don't have enough time, unfortunately.